Major moves are ahead coming in 2025, starting tomorrow for some of your favorite coins like Bitcoin, XRP, and Chainlink. But what are the predictions that we're going to be making that you should be prepared for short-term, long-term? We're going to cover all of that and a whole lot more in today's video, so do not go anywhere. Also, even though we posted a video this morning about 5 coins that are sitting in a very good buy position, in today's show, we're going to look at another 6 that are very intriguing for the beginning of 2025. You do not want to ignore, but you got to stick around to the very end to hear those 6 coins and the details you need to know about them. This is the Investing Bros. Go ahead and smash that like, hit subscribe, but first, we got to roll the intro. All right. There we go. Oh, I was muted for that portion of it. I was saying, all right. I was doing my best Matthew McConaughey impression when you muted me there, Smay.
I didn't mute you. You just were early to the draw.
Yes, I was early to the draw then. How are you guys doing today? Start with Smay. It's a nice last day of 2024. What are you looking forward to in 2025?
Well, man, great question, Tim. As we're sitting here on the last day of 2024, I sit here and reflect on all the things I said I was going to do at the beginning of the year that I did not do. So that's great. So now I'm going to start to think about 2025 and all the things that I know that I'm not going to do for 2025. So it's going to be great. Little dream board.
Good.
Put that together probably this evening. And then, I'm looking forward to health, happiness, and the pursuit of wealth.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
How about you?
Right. Well, that's interesting. How about you? Well, let's go to T-Shroom. T-Shroom, how you doing today, first of all?
Oh, I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. I really appreciate you asking that. Man, thanks.
I'm very glad to hear it. What are you looking forward to in 2025?
You know what I'm looking forward to in 2025? I'm really looking forward to, I think there was the new Last of Us season is coming out. That's going to be pretty good.
Okay.
And then Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of ads here recently. Looks interesting.
Yeah. So that and nothing else is what I'm looking forward to. Just kidding. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. Spending time with family.
Yeah.
And getting into trading later in January. Going to be doing a lot more trading.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That'll be fun. Last week of January, should be getting into
Just
more into
no.
that.
What he means by that is we already do a whole lot of trading. Our community T-Shroom is going to start doing some more live trading sessions and getting more into that. So look forward to that. I'm excited about a lot of things. I'm excited, about what's happening in my family, just what the future holds for us, and then also in the crypto world, man. It's been a great year so far in 2024. Lots of ups, lots of downs, some boring moments, some explosive moments. But if history repeats itself, this is the year that could be the most exciting, especially early in the year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how crypto responds. But if you guys are in chat and you're excited about it, drop in chat 2 things. Drop what you're most excited about in 2025. That's one comment. And another comment, I want to know where you guys are tuning in from. Of course, I'm out here in Atlanta, Georgia. T-Shroom I think both T-Shroom and Smay are in the Gainesville area in Florida. Where are you guys tuning in from? Would love to hear it. Before we get into details here today, I want to give a special shout out to our sponsor. If you go to my screen here, today the episode is brought to you guys by Blofin. This is the #1 exchange if you're looking to trade. If you love watching the Investing Bros show, you love the TA that we do, and you want to get in on some of the action to trade it and make some money, go sign up down below in the link with Blofin link. When you use our link, you get access into our Blofin account. And at the end of every month, which I forgot about this, we'll probably have to do this tomorrow, we do a $500 giveaway once a month for all of our active trading Blofin users. You know what that means? I'm going to give you an extra day. Go sign up today, enter a couple trades, and you'll be entered to win $500 cash. Shout out to Blofin. With that said, let's check out what the bubbles are doing here. What's happening here today in the crypto bubble world? Mixed results here. A lot of red for the most part, especially with the more legitimate coins. But you do see a couple green coins here. Pepe up almost 12%. Virtual, one of these coins that's emerged and been very volatile recently. It's up 12%. Mantra's up 8%. Penguin's up 6.6%. FTT, FTN, they're up. But for the most part, it's kind of been a cooling off day after a small rebound yesterday where prices rallied slightly, right? So a small uptick yesterday. Things have cooled off here once again. But let's go ahead and dive right into some details. Let's start off, as we always do, what is happening here on Bitcoin. If you are just tuning in to the bros for the first time or maybe for a while, we are still tracking here on Bitcoin a move to the downside. There's a couple things I'm watching, but the first one, we were tracking a rising trading channel. You can see here with multiple touches to the upside right here. We have a resistance touch back in November, here early December and mid-December with big touches right there of resistance. Meanwhile, we had a parallel support level of rising level support. This is a traditionally bearish formation that we expected a downward movement to come, and sure enough, that's exactly what's happened. We have price targets at the moment by taking the opening of this formation, the length of the opening of it, moving it over to a breakout spot. We have expectations right now still that we could see sub $90,000 at the very least here on Bitcoin over the next little bit. But here's what I'll say about it. While I am not necessarily ready to say that the rally is back on and we're just going to blast up, it is the last day of 2024. I'm expecting the 12-month candle, the yearly candle, to close pretty similar, if not a little lower than where it currently is. Let me zoom in here. Let's take a look at these candles for a second. 12-month candles. It's been a great year. About 365 days ago, roughly, we were at $42,000 and 400. Look at that. It was 42,420. 42,420. Is where we started the year 2024. Can't make this stuff up. I do think we're going to close up here below $100,000. I'm not expecting a last-second rally, but get ready for January. I do believe January is going to be an exciting time with a lot of action, especially early, as there's a plethora of reasons we are bullish in early quarter one 2025. But for now, I do think pullbacks to these levels around 89, 90,000. If you want to know how we are trading this, again, over on Blofin, you can go sign up with the link down below. And if you join our VIP trading group, we actually today just updated some new placements, some trade setups, where to put your entries, where to put your stop losses. If you want to be a part of that, make sure to go check out the membership options. As a whole, though, like I said, there's still some levels down here below 90,000 that are intriguing, even potentially as low as 85,000, where we do have liquidation still at the moment. If that level is lost, if we lose 85,000, all of a sudden we start to open up some question marks of what is possible. All of a sudden you're starting to maybe talk about 70,000 or potentially even lower. Well, I don't think that that's highly probable. I do not think it's going to happen. I want to make sure you guys are aware of the details, that there are liquidation levels down below us, that if 85,000 is lost, things could get a lot uglier. That being said, this is still right on track. There's no reason to be surprised by this pullback. There's no reason to be freaking out about Bitcoin whatsoever. This move was extremely expected. It's something that we predicted here on the channel weeks ago, that Bitcoin was in need of a 15 to 20% pullback. And right now, if you're looking at it currently, we've only pulled back at this point 15%. We're currently down about 13.5%, but we absolutely could make our way down here 20% back down towards 85,000. That would not be abnormal whatsoever. But before I move on from Bitcoin TA, and before we talk about some details that you need to know about it and get into our XRP and Chainlink technical analysis as well, I want to make sure I revisit some historical movements just so you guys are prepared. Why are we talking about a potential 15 to 20% pullback? And why are we still so bullish after this? Well, for more on that, you have to go back to 4 and 8 years ago. Again, this is a part of a normal, healthy bull market cycle that Bitcoin is used to. If you go back here to 4 years ago, almost to the day, early January, Bitcoin had an extremely explosive rally, followed by a nice little, this one's actually be a 30% pullback, a 31% pullback before it would explode even further over the next couple of months. It would go up 120% in just a couple of months. The same thing happened if you go back 4 years before that. If you go back all the way to 2017, almost 4 years, a little bit less than 4 years. But you go back to March, February of 2017. Bitcoin, after a big rally, had a nice pullback of roughly 34%, followed by a massive rally over the next couple of months of 230%. What's my overall case here? Why am I talking about 30% pullbacks? Well, Bitcoin's more mature now than it was back then. I don't think we have to have a 30% pullback. If we did have a 30% pullback, let's look at that number and see the details of what that would look like. A 30% pullback for Bitcoin would put us back down here towards $75,000. But as the market is more mature and we have more institutional investors than we've ever had in the past, more mature markets have less volatile movements. So look at that 15 to 20% pullback. That is the healthy level that would mimic historical movements. Guess what? If history repeats itself, I don't even think we're going to see a 100% rally from here in the next couple months. But let's just pretend we even did a 50 to 70% rally. Let's pretend we hit $85,000. 50% move to the upside. Copying history would put us up to 130, 70% closer towards 150. That's an expectation we could legitimately see in about March or April, late quarter one or quarter two in 2025. Things get very explosive, very exciting, very fast. So you want to be using this pullback right now as Bitcoin is pulling back down, as it is 15, potentially could fall to 20% below the all-time highs. You don't want to be running for the hills, panic selling your Bitcoin. You want to be scooping up this dip while you can and let the rewards reap in after. Again, if you want to see some good entry points in the way we are trading in our community, join our VIP trading group today. There's levels to that, and there's options and explanations for that in the description down below. But before we move on from Bitcoin, I want to throw it over to T-Shroom. Anything that you're looking at, seeing that people need to know about before we move on?
Yeah, we've got a pretty bullish story here over on my screen. It's a pretty interesting one here. $1.5 trillion Franklin Templeton. You probably heard of him by now. They said this. They said, we expect to see strategic Bitcoin reserves added by several nations in 2025. Very, very bullish potential there. Of course, we know about the one here in the United States. We know that Bahrain has already done this, but it's a small nation. El Salvador has done this, small nation. But Franklin Templeton thinking that it could be not just the United States, but several in the new year. So that's pretty bullish for Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Again, that's what we kind of alluded to when we were talking about how bullish we are. You know, I put a tweet out earlier. Don't trade your emotions. Trade the charts. Trade the details of the news as well. And what we're seeing right now is a whole lot of FUD, a lot of confusion, but people being convinced that just because we're not seeing an all-time high and just because we're down 15% from the recent all-time high, they're being convinced that they need to get out of the markets. But if you look at the history, if you look at the charts, if you look at what is coming in 2025, I don't understand how anyone could be bearish right now. I don't understand how people are so negative. Of course, it's out there. And if you want to find an excuse or an argument to do so, be my guest. But what I'm seeing, it's all daisies and rainbows from here on out in 2025. I'm going to be putting a video out early next week as to why I do not believe 2025 will be the end of the bull market, but look forward to that. It's going to be something to keep your eye on. If you are an XRP holder, go ahead and drop an X in chat. We're going to transition into one of our community's favorite coins. Let's take a look at what XRP is doing. It's been a little bit of time since we did an XRP update here on the live show. We've made some videos recently. We talk about it in our memberships all the time. But for our YouTube family, let's check in on what XRP is doing. We've been tracking here since the high run up in this cycle. It's not all-time highs. We got to get way above $3 before we have new all-time highs for XRP, right? I do think it's coming. It's going to be here before you know it. But we did stop out here back early December around $2.90, right? We couldn't quite get above the $3 mark, but we're very, very close. Since that has happened, we have noticed some things developing. Depending on where you want to draw this resistance line, whether you want to do, the candle body closes, whether you just want to connect the candle wicks, you can move this line a little bit. But as a whole, we now have two falling touches of resistance. At the same time, we now, as of today, with a bullish candle on the way, we now have seen three rising support levels as well. This is what we call a symmetrical triangle pattern. Some people are going to go even more bullish. I'm going to show you what a symmetrical triangle means, but some people could even make the argument a symmetrical triangle after an explosive move like this could also be seen as a bull pennant. In fact, I think we actually briefly did this yesterday because I feel like, or maybe I did this with a Q&A. Sometimes I forget which lessons were the live shows and which ones were Q&As with our VIP members. But the explosive bull pennant could give a sign of $11.60 for XRP. A more conservative viewer would say, all right, let's just look at the symmetrical triangle pattern. Let's see what it is saying here. If you guys open this up right here and you move this over to a potential breakout spot, whether it's going to be over here around 245. I don't know where we break out, but let's even get more conservative with it. Let's pretend it takes a little bit of time. This is still a target that would take us to new all-time highs, up at $3.69. So a bullish formation, whether you want to call it extremely bullish, whether you want to call it moderately bullish, XRP is a coin I absolutely believe is going to have a special run in 2025. And I think, again, keyword think here, but based off what I'm seeing on the charts and based on what the news is communicating, I do believe XRP is something that could pop off very soon. That being said, we are still waiting for some form of an official bottoming signal to come on the charts, on the daily chart, for example. If you're looking here at the daily chart, we're back to being overextended. We're approaching levels where during this bull market so far, we've seen the oscillators kind of bottom out and move back to the upside. We do have a green reversal dot on the charts at the moment, but you're not seeing bullish momentum and you're not necessarily seeing positive money just yet. When that happens, that will be the move to go ahead and confirm we're making moves to the upside. That's the daily chart here. If you look to lower time frames, you are starting to see some positivity though. This is on the 4-hour chart where we actually had a buy signal come in. This is either late last night. We had our green reversal, bullish momentum, and positive money flow. This would suggest that XRP in the next couple of days should be making a move back up here towards 227, back up to the smart trail, the Lux-Algo smart trail on the 4-hour chart. What happens after that, though, is can this upward movement begin to tell us as we get to higher time frames like the 8-hour, like the daily, as we get up to the weekly chart, we see a lot of support levels already being touched, but can we start to see buy signals flashing on the daily, on the 3 daily, on the weekly chart? That's where the fireworks come into play. Here's what I'll say. As much as the charts are telling me there's a good argument for a bottom being in an XRP, there's a good argument for an explosive move to come. It gets even better when you look at recent news. Of course, they no longer have to worry about the big bad SEC. Gary Gensler, his days are numbered. He's got about 20 days left in his position, and then he will be gone. Of course, there's the recent launch of the Ripple Labs USD. That's extremely bullish for a plethora of reasons, especially in recent days as there's been some FUD about USDT Tether. XRP is one of the coins that I'm not going to say is going to have a 10x from here. There's people out there saying $20 is on the horizon. I find myself more looking at, like we talked about earlier, $9, $11 segment from the bull pennant is interesting. I think $16 is a potential for XRP. I would love to be wrong. I would love to update my expectation and go above $20. I have a decent sized bag of XRP. But if I'm going to be realistic, I'm going to expect in the year 2025, $9 to $16 is my target for the, at this point now, third largest cryptocurrency. Let's see if it maintains that. Before I move on, though, loving what I'm having here with XRP. T-Shroom, anything you want to add to that one? Is there any recent news breaking on XRP? Is there anything we should know about that, or is it's just chugging along as normal?
Yeah, it's mostly chugging along as normal. Yeah, I mean, out on the weekly chart, that MACD line is starting to curl over, so something to be aware of. But you know, that's likely just a result of the explosive movement that we've seen there of more than a 420% move to the upside. You know, that's going to send that MACD and signal line soaring, and it's going to look ugly when it starts to curl back down. So that's the weekly. Definitely something to be aware of, but nothing to FUD out for.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at one more coin here, and then we're going to get into some Q&A for a little bit, and then we're going to do look at 6 coins. 6 coins that could have an interesting January. Now, I say that's actually a good segue into this next coin. Before you show my screen, we put a video out today, this morning, 5 coins that I'm extremely excited about for January, or at least early Q1. Why? Because these are coins that competitively, compared to other coins in their similar areas, are drastically oversold at the moment. If you want to go check out that video, go check it out after the live stream. But I saw several comments down below saying, oh, did Tim give up on Chainlink? Does Tim no longer like Chainlink? Well, that's not the case whatsoever. Let me break some glass for some people here. I can't talk about the same 5 coins in every single video. In fact, I don't just have 5 coins. I currently have roughly 15 coins in my portfolio, but I could make arguments to have upwards of 30 to 40. not every single video can contain every single coin. But if there's any FUD out there, if there's anyone out there spreading rumors that Tim has given up on Chainlink, that's not the case. I'm extremely bullish on Chainlink. The reason Chainlink didn't get it into that video is actually a testament to how strong Chainlink has been over the last 30 days. It has not been one of the biggest losers the last 30 days. It's not the most oversold coin. I'm going to continue to invest in Chainlink, and I have big expectations in the year 2025 as to what Link can do. It just wasn't in that video. But that being said, if you guys are Chainlink holders, maxis, whatever you are, drop Link in chat. I want to hear who here loves Chainlink. Let's take a look at what Chainlink is doing here. Now, there is a formation I want to make sure people are aware of. It's not a good formation. It's something that people need to be prepared. Hey, if something bad happens on Chainlink, this is what is causing it. It's a little early to say, be afraid of it, but this formation in play right here. In fact, let me show you on the 8-hour chart so we can get a little bit better, a little more candles to kind of confirm it. But some of you are going to see it right off the bat. Some of you have some good chart analysis. You can just see things on the charts even before it's pointed out to you. But if you don't, that's okay. I'm going to point it out for you. If you look here, recent movements since December, early December, we formed a nice little short-term top right here, early December. We went higher, set a little bit higher top. We got up here towards $30, almost $31 here in mid-December. But then more recently, we set a lower high. A pretty similar lower high to the lower high we set back in early December. If you don't know what this formation is, that's okay. This is called an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Or sorry, excuse me, I misspoke there. This is called a head and shoulders pattern. It's a normal person. Inverse would be if it was upside down. This is respected as a bearish indicator. In fact, what you do is you take the perspective shoulder line. If this was the left shoulder and this is the head and this is the right shoulder, this would be the shoulder line, right? You take this trajectory here, you take the length of the top of the head down to that neckline, and you move it over to a potential breakout spot. That's something we're actually currently wrestling with as we're making this video. As we're live right now, we're wrestling with support here at that $20. If we lose $20, and if the volume picks up, right now you guys can see very boring volume here on Chainlink. If that volume does pick up, all of a sudden, the potential, keyword potential, not probability, not likelihood, but potential, is that Link could fall all the way back down towards $13.24. That would be a move from current price levels, another move of 34% to the downside, and a whopping 57% move to the downside from these recent highs. Now, that's what the chart is saying from a macro formation. Let me explain really quickly why this doesn't necessarily concern me and shouldn't necessarily concern you guys either. What you need to know about formations, while they are helpful in the world of technical analysis and people love to trade based off of them, you always have to understand, does this formation fit with a logical movement? Does it have a lot of other arguments saying the exact same thing? And number two, is this the type of coin that responds heavily to formations? You're going to see head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, cup and handles all the time across cryptocurrencies. But what I've noticed is that a lot of times these altcoins do not have the best record of formations. I'm not saying it's a 0% chance. In fact, I probably would put this at roughly 50-50. But that being said, I want to now look at some other details about what Chainlink has been doing recently. Namely, I want to check in on oscillators and see where we are kind of sitting. Are we overbought? Are we oversold? Are we sitting on some strong support? I mean, clearly this level right here was strong support back in December 9th. It was the support here on December 20th. Can it be support here once again, or do we have a lot lower prices coming here for Chainlink? Well, going into our oscillators, you're going to see kind of something similar we looked at with Bitcoin and XRP, where we're not getting a buy signal just yet, but we are back down towards the same levels of the oscillator that gave us support back here in November, earlier in December, and of course, even back in October. We're actually, you can make the argument, we're a little bit lower than a lot of these levels. And when I go back here and look at price action, despite the fact that we're at the same levels in the oscillators, we are way higher than these recent lows back on November 5th in 2024. This is what you would call bullish divergence. It's actually an extremely bullish indicator. I see someone in the chat just commented, there's a green dot in play. What does this green dot mean? Well, this is a reversal dot from the Lux-Algo oscillator matrix. It doesn't necessarily mean we're ready to move to the upside just yet, but it's an indication that we should be close. These can be ignored. It's not a perfect dot. That's why we always wait for the trifecta. but we do have a green dot on the chart at the moment. What I need to see come in to feel more confident here on the daily chart is I need to see a green momentum dot flash on the oscillator, and I need to see this downward trajectory money flow. I need to see this come back to the upside. The MACD is kind of flirting, kind of decide if it wants to go back to the upside, but I need to see the MACD look positive as well. Of course, this is just the daily chart. As we did with Bitcoin and XRP, let's take a look at lower time frames to see, is this a trend that is coming soon? As we move to the 4-hour chart, it's not quite bullish just yet, but we're getting a lot more of a bullish signal here in play. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just start by looking at the Luxago oscillator and see what's going on here. We have green reversals. We have bullish momentum of our oscillators. We have sideways money flow that looks like it wants to turn and go back to the upside. This would be very, very bullish, but even better what I have on here, and I'm surprised this isn't being depicted because usually the Luxago oscillator will tell you where there's bullish and bearish divergence. I see here higher lows in oscillator bottoms, lower lows in price action bottoms. This is strong bullish divergence. Once again, just like the daily chart, this is an indicator that can be used for strong support. I would be very interested to see if this ends up flashing buy signal in the next couple of days, in which case that would trickle maybe up towards the 8-hour chart, and then the 8-hour chart, which coincidentally at the moment actually is under a buy signal with suggested movements maybe back up here towards $24. Does that 8-hour flow into the 12-hour? Does the 12-hour flow into the daily chart? We're not going to see a daily buy signal at $20, right? More than likely, by the time we get a daily buy signal, the price will have already bounced. These indicators, which are slightly lagging, will move to the upside. You're not going to see a buy signal until we're probably up closer towards $22, $24. So that is why you watch the lower time frames first. You look for the signs that the lower time frames are ready to go bullish. And then as the price starts to respond to the lower ones, you keep an eye on if the larger time frames follow as well. That being said, the 4-hour chart is not moving bullish. It's just showing us major support levels. Let's take a look here at one last thing, and I'm going to transition away. Let's take a look at liquidations here, where there is not necessarily a lot. And you want to know why there's not necessarily a lot? Because the volume here recently has been extremely low. But what I'm seeing, if I'm looking at this correctly, there's just not a whole lot of reason or excuses for this price to be pushed down anymore. Sure, we have some liquidations down at $18 and $15 and $14, but notice it's almost all purple. This is not a good excuse or reason for any serious trader to consider a big move to the downside. But guess where there is some interesting liquidations? Back to the upside, $25, $26, $29, $30. This is where there's serious money at play. So if I'm an experienced trader and I want to make money by going after existing trades and liquidating existing trades, I don't see a lot of room to the downside. I do see a lot of room to the upside. So despite the fact that there's a bearish formation right now that has a head and shoulders pattern, we're seeing several signs that support has been reached. Lower time frames starting to pile up some buy signals, and even money flow, with the way traders like to expose and attack other traders, we're seeing more reasons for price to go upwards than to go downwards. That being said, I want to stay vigilantly watching. If I see even further of a dip here on Chainlink, I want to be aware of that because there is a bearish formation in play. But those other bullish things is what causes me to have pause about that head and shoulders pattern. You're going to see a lot of people pointing it out. You're going to see a lot of people saying right now, hey guys, watch out for a big dip on Chainlink. We have a negative formation there. But something that's very important in the world of trading is you never trade based off of one indicator alone. You always want to look for a compiling of evidence. And the reason for that is because there's no one indicator that is perfect. There's no trader out there that is perfect that gets every call correct. But the more and more evidence and the more signs that there's positivity rather than negativity, the greater the probability that prices move back to the upside. And if you're looking at Chainlink right now, there's an argument to the downside and there's arguments to the upside. It just so happens the bullish arguments outweigh the bearish ones at the moment. But make sure to watch those charts, pay attention to what's happening. There's no guarantees in this right now, but if I'm a Chainlink holder, I'm holding very strong. And I'm probably even considering, as we're sitting on a very good support level, looking to add a little bit more to my bags. Going to be an exciting year for Chainlink. They're picking up relationship after relationship, collaboration after collaboration. Chainlink is nowhere close to reaching its full potential. And 2025 is going to go a long way in showing you just how high Chainlink can get to. Real quickly, before we wrap this up and move into other things, I see someone say, what's your prediction? We talked about Bitcoin. I think we didn't actually give a prediction in this video. If you watched any of our other content, we've talked a lot about Bitcoin. I talked about it with our trading group earlier today. I think it's going to be interesting to watch what Bitcoin does when Bitcoin hits 150,000 and what Bitcoin does in response to it. There's several people who think that that could be a top. There's several people who think that we don't even get there until later in 2025. I realistically, if you're going to ask me what I predict, I think that Bitcoin will be closer towards 150,000 by March or April of 2025. After that, let's see how far we pull back, but I still believe that 2025 is going to see a higher level. I think that 200 to 220,000 still could happen in 2025, but even more so, I told you earlier, I don't think at this point that the bull market is going to end in 2025. I think we go even higher in the year 2026, but I'll say that for another time. Today we're talking about 2025. I still see $200,000 on the table for Bitcoin this time next year. When it comes to XRP, I told you guys that one pretty clearly, somewhere between $9 to $16 by the end of the year. And when it comes to Chainlink, I, in the past, have been extremely bullish. In fact, some of you might have found me talking about Chainlink potentially reaching 700. Well, if it reaches 700, it's not going to be in the year 2025. I think, there's things could go crazy well for it. And maybe that still happens. But if it hits 700 in this bull market, more than likely that's a 2026 or 2027 estimation. But before the end of the year of 2025, my realistic target for Chainlink, and people call me crazy, people are going to laugh, but you're sleeping on how bullish and how how used this coin is going to be. I still have on the very low end $200 for Chainlink. Expectation by 2025, at the end of it, still $400. I'm going to make a lot of money on Chainlink, whether I'm on the low end of that or the high end. If we hit 700, I'll be even more wealthy than I thought. But those are my expectations still for what 2025 looks like. But if you want to learn more about that and ask more questions and more details, make sure you join our membership options. Come in and do some live trading with me. Let me explain those arguments just a little better as to why I'm so bullish on these projects. That being said, T-Shirt, anything you want to add to that before we go into some Q&A here?
Yeah, there was actually a new patent filed by Chainlink. If you go over my screen, this is going to mean something to somebody. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but it's pretty interesting. It's called User-Specified Chains and Row Versions in a Blockchain Table. So Chainlink, known for filing a lot of patents. They have a lot of stuff locked down. And then in addition to that, the numbers are in for 2024. It's been an absolutely monumental year for Chainlink. 18 trillion transaction value enabled, 15 billion verified messages on chain, 1 billion CCIP token transfer volume. That's going to increase by a lot in 2025. And then 32 plus blockchain ecosystem integrations for that CCIP. It's pretty impressive for Chainlink. When it comes to news, it's like every day they're partnering and integrating with some new ecosystem, some new layer one. But the big one was at the beginning of the year was this headline here. Chainlink entered pre-production on blockchain connectivity solutions for 11,500 financial institutions through that SWIFT system. So, the more that SWIFT and Chainlink, those two words come out and get associated together, we're going to continue to just see, bullish pressure, buy pressure, push that price of Chainlink up in the mid to long term. Right now, short term price dynamics with crypto overall is pushing Chainlink down to the downside. But make no mistake, this one is one that I'm continuing to DCA on, not even having a thought of selling.
Yeah, I think that's very, very good. Let's get into some questions here, and then we're going to look at the 6 coins. Yeah, there's a lower viewed show today. I think it's New Year's Eve. A lot of people spending time with family. I love that. Cannot wait to see what 2025 looks like. We just hit 39,000 subscribers. I don't think we can get to, we still have to get 900 subscribers to get to 40,000. I don't think that's happening before 2025, but early 2025, we're going to be over 40. Let's see how fast we can get to 50. Thank you so much to every one of you who has subscribed. If you have not yet and you enjoy our content, enjoy what we do to help you trade these markets, make sure to go ahead and smash the like, hit subscribe, help get us to 50,000 quickly. Some questions here I want to take a look at. Number one, what happened to the Chainlink and Swift connections to generational talent? Unless you know something I don't know, generational talent. Nothing. That still is definitely in play. And again, it's one of those things that is Chainlink news all in your face right now? No. But I have a sneaky suspicion that the reason Chainlink news is not in your face is because that's not what institutions want it to be. They want to pile up on it. They want to buy it while it's still at those low levels. Again, this is a coin that I realistically see as being one of the most important blockchains in the world. not just in 2025 or 2026, in the world for a very long time, because it'll be one of the largest coins used for money transactions and building money transactions based off of it. Well, it's only trading at $20, and it's only trading with what's the current market cap of Chainlink? You go and share my screen here, Smay. Let's check in on that because I don't want to say it and be wrong. Only $13.3 billion. And I know that's a big number, right? So I don't want to like misspeak and make it sound like 13.3 billion is nothing. But compared to what it is going to do, oh, you can't see it behind my face. Compared to what it's going to do in the future, 13 billion is absolutely nothing. This is a coin that I see getting above, definitely above 100, above 200. 200 is kind of my low end, 300 to $400 billion market cap. And so if I'm an institution, I want to make a lot of money, and I can keep this secret away from retail and not get retail super excited about it and hide some of the great news that's happening, I absolutely am doing that. But if you dig through the mud and you look for it, Chainlink is still extremely active. People that are very wealthy and well-connected are extremely bullish on it. It just doesn't always necessarily make the top headlines. But again, from what I understand, nothing is necessarily wrong with that. Crypto Dave said, Tim, do you mind sharing what percent of your portfolio is in Link? Just curious. I'd have to look at the official number, Crypto Dave, but I believe it's going to be sitting somewhere in the world of 10%, maybe a little bit higher than that. Other question I saw on here, I saw this a couple times, and so there's actually two people asking. Majestic Fox and Ben are saying, at Investing Pros, can you guys check the monthly candle for Bitcoin? It's forming a shooting star, which indicates the top of an uptrend. Thanks. All right. So candle analysis is what we're kind of referencing here, and there's a formation in play. Go ahead and share my screen here again, Smay. Let's get into the details and see kind of what's happening here. The monthly chart, super long-term chart, is developing. Again, they're absolutely right. This is a shooting star. It's a pretty low wick to the downside. Here, let me move this over for a second. In fact, we'll just get rid of that block. That's something we'll deal with later. What we have here is a major wick to the upside. We have a decent sized wick to the downside, and we have a relatively small candle body here in the middle. But this is technically a shooting star formation. That being said, I want to take a look at what is even the historical basis of this being utilized heavily on Bitcoin, right? So we go back in history. Let's take a look at times where we've seen shooting stars in the past, those types of formations, and how reliable they were. For example, the exact opposite. This is kind of almost like a hammer right here. This is a hammer right here. These ones actually, mark close to the bottom, but wasn't quite the bottom there. This one was on our way to the upside. That's kind of the inverse that's happening right there. Shooting star. Let's see. We haven't gotten a whole heck of a lot of shooting stars necessarily. Something I think you should be concerned about is the long wicks to the upside. That is definitely something that can mark top movements, but is not necessarily something that has to happen. In fact, let's go back in here. Okay, it didn't happen there, but this time period right here, June, it happened here in March 17 and in June 17. These aren't quite shooting stars, but they did have big wicks to the upside that could have caused some people during this part of the cycle to FUD out and leave, whereas the prices would continue to the upside. That being said, I wanted to do some analysis on it. I hadn't pegged that in my research this morning, but as I'm looking at it, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to try to beat around the bush. This is a candle that on paper is a bearish looking candle. Okay, so it's an argument to be bearish. That being said, as I'm looking at the monthly chart, I'm not seeing sell signals flashing. I do see the RSI is overbought. I don't want to ignore that either, but I'm not seeing bearish divergence, which is pretty normal for pullbacks to happen. You guys can see here, these red lines, these are marking bearish divergences where you have some decent sized pullbacks. We don't have that. In fact, bearish divergence here on the monthly chart usually is a factor at the top of cycles. When I drop a little lower here, split that monthly chart into four, and I look at the weekly chart, this is one that, you actually on the weekly chart have an argument to say there's maybe a little bit more bearishness happening here. There is bearish divergence. There's technically, let's zoom in here. It's not a sell signal here just yet, right? Not a sell signal on the weekly chart. That being said, again, I always love to compare historical precedents. What happens during this part in the cycle? If you go back to the bull market of 2021, there were several flashes, several selling signals on the weekly chart that people would have said, oh, this is it. This is the top where it's done. Same thing back in 2017. If you go back over here, take a look at all of these sell signals, the bearish divergence, the red reversal dots, the money flow going downward. There were several sell signals that some people probably ended up selling, probably ended up getting out of the markets and leaving All the while, if you had just been a little patient, you could have bought a pullback and continue to make a lot of money in both of those bull markets. That's what I see happening right here, right? So we haven't been bearish here for a while. This is kind of the first sign during this bull market of any type of negativity, really. I think this is an early sign that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. There's going to be a lot of people that sell, but historically on Bitcoin, context is always key. This context shows me this could end up being some form of a bear trap. But I think it's a good thing to be aware of, that there is a bearish formation on the monthly chart. There's a bearish formation on the weekly chart. Let's watch how this plays out. But like I said earlier, you always want to collect as much evidence as you can when making informed decisions while trading. And while you do see some concerning signals on the monthly and weekly chart, you got to remember those are also long-term charts. It can take a long time before their negativity plays out. Again, with not having bearish divergence on the monthly chart, this could end up being a small hiccup, and then we continue to the upside and it ends up being canceled out altogether. So I wish I could ease you and tell you, no, don't worry about that indicator. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you not to worry about it. What I can tell you is that's an argument for the downward movement, but there's lots of arguments for upward movements. So that's why I go back to history and I say, okay, when we've seen similar downward trajectories or predictions in the past, how did Bitcoin respond? And historically, you've actually seen them push through these bearish indicators and continue their upside trajectory. So that's, until I see something different, that's still the camp that I'm sitting in. But I am very aware of this, and I'll keep it on my radar of things to be aware of, is that we do have a bearish formation on the monthly chart, and we'll stay tuned with that one. Hopefully that helps answer. If you guys are not comfortable, if you want to get out of the markets, go for it. But again, I am not a candle trader. I even taught, when we taught candles in our VIP trading group, when we taught our Bros Academy, I teach people candles. I teach them how to trade it. But one of my biggest cautions is be weary of trading based off of candles. It's one of the trading styles in crypto I've seen people get wrecked the most from trading. I am a much bigger fan of looking for horizontal levels of support and resistance, tracking momentum, looking at historical trends. And to me right now, everything on those fronts is saying bullish. There's just a couple things pointing out on the weekly chart and the monthly chart saying that we could be reaching a local top. That being said, we're going to go ahead and transition here. 342. Any chat you see, T-Shroom, before we go ahead and get into the 6 coins that are still looking very interesting for the month of January?
Yeah, a lot of people are participating. Take a look down there if you could. I've got a pretty cool chart that we don't ever share, and you may never have even thought that this was possible. Smay, go to my screen for Bitcoin. This is, there's no shooting star on this candle, on these candles here. This is the monthly chart for Bitcoin against Apple shares. So take this number over here, 373, and throw it out the window because it's completely meaningless. This is a really interesting formation, though. As you can see, Bitcoin has knocked on the door of Apple, breaking out of Apple around this 510 level before. And where we are right now is a level that also has been knocked on the door of before, that 430. You could even extend this down to let's see, maybe the current candlesticks around like 415. But what you get to attain this chart, you just type in the letters BTC USD / AAPL. And you can do this for any asset, by the way. You can do it against the Qs, you can do it against Tesla, you can do it against anything you can think of. But what's really cool about this is that likely we are going to see for the first time Bitcoin break out to the upside, and to be able to break through this 510 level ish, it's going to be just a 22% move, right? So that would put, let's see, 22% from the live price that we are now would put Bitcoin at right around 114, right? Mm-hmm. Which is that's literally just 6% from the all-time high. So we're going to see Bitcoin take over Apple on that ratioed chart. It's going to be really, really interesting to watch that. That's going to be exciting. Tim, did you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, pull it up real quick, and I'm not going to pull up on my screen, but just pointing out, I see someone in chat say, oh, it looks like a cup and handle. You can say cup and handle. I'm going to go one better. We talked about a head and shoulders pattern on Chainlink earlier. That is what we call an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Again, a left shoulder, a deeper head, and then a shallower right shoulder. Am I saying trade that formation? Am I saying that we're going to see that explode to the upside and play its full potential? No, but that's a bullish formation right there. I think you're right on there, T-Shroom. I think this is a chart that we're going to see, and I don't think anyone should be surprised with this. I think if I told you, hey, do you think in 2025 Bitcoin's going to outperform Apple? I think a lot of people would say, who are used to Bitcoin, would say, duh, yeah. That's normal. But here's formations, here's charts talking about it even more. I think what's really cool here is that we're wrestling with a zone of former resistance, and I think we're going to break through it. I think it can get very explosive very fast. Like, I'm not going to predict that inverse head and shoulders pattern breakout is going to happen, but I'm also not going to rule it out as a potential. There's a chance that things go high very quickly. First of all, I mean, if you even look at Apple, I'm not going to try to bring a bunch of FUD to Apple, but Apple's had more negativity recently than Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the future of finance, and Apple, there are people who absolutely have problems with it. There's things that they do that people do not like. So I'm not saying dump all your Apple holdings. I'm just saying if I could hold Apple or Bitcoin, that chart tells me I should be holding Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think they're both good assets. But one of them is revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
And it's not Apple, it's Bitcoin, right? But Apple's it's a good, one of the Magnificent Seven. If you have held it over the last 2-3 years, you have held one of the best assets to hold on the equity side. So very, very interesting. We did get some breaking news here, Tim. We'd seen Switzerland talking about adding Bitcoin to the Constitution. We didn't run that story because I don't even know what that means. But there's been an update here. Go to my screen from Bitcoin Magazine. Just in, a proposal for the Swiss National Bank to hold Bitcoin was set in motion in an initiative published by the Swiss Federal Chancellery, according to Reuters there. So there's
just more.
Who
more
had that on their bingo card? That is absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about the 6 coins. We've teased it a little bit. If you guys are stuck around, make sure to smash that like button. Again, lower viewers today. A lot of people probably spending time with their family on this fine New Year's Eve. But the few of you that are here, smash that like button. Let's get it above 300 here in the next couple of minutes. There was a recent report. I'm going to go ahead and set up the stage here, Shroom. But there's a recent report put out by Grayscale where they gave their top 20 coins for January. And there were 6 coins that were new on this list, and they're very intriguing. And so I'll go ahead and just set the stage as to why we're even talking about this. Do I think that these 6 coins are the future of cryptocurrency? Do I think these are coins that are going to make it in the top 10? No, I don't. I've never heard of them before, and I think in the next couple of months, they'll probably fade back away into nothing. But whether you agree with Grayscale or not, the simple addition to this list that Grayscale is giving them is increasing their eyeballs exponentially. And so I myself am sitting here saying I'm not trading them because they're in my top 20, but I actually might look into a short-term trade, a short-term long on these coins because of the amount of eyeballs and adoption they could be picking up by just being on this list. With more on that, T-Shirt, let's go to the article. What are these 6 coins that are popping up that Grayscale is saying could have a special January?
Yeah, well, so it's the Hyperliquid, Athena, ENA, Virtuals Protocol, ticker Virtual, Jupiter, which we know and love. This one's been
I misspoke. We knew a couple of these, but some of them are new. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the ones that we really don't know a whole lot about is 5 and 6, Jito and Grass, and even Jito know a little bit about it. But yeah, these are the picks here from Grayscale. This is their altcoins to top 20 Q1 2025 list. It's an interesting list. Some of them are not surprising, but some of them I'm learning for the first time. Like Grass, literally have no idea what this one is. Maybe you do. Let us know in the chat. What is Grass? Do you hold it? Do you fade it? But it's an interesting list here. We got to take a look at some of the charts for these.
Yeah, let's take a look right now. And one of the things I told Shroom beforehand I wanted to take a look at was what were these coins doing even since their listing? And you can see Hype, the first one, Hyperliquid. We're not going to get into the fundamentals here. That's going to be something we probably talk about more on our new channel coming out, Alpha Bros. Look for it launching here in January of 2025. It has a big bearish day today. In fact, this news broke yesterday, but since that time, we've fallen 9% in the last 24 hours. But again, this is one, as I'm looking at these pullbacks, I'm saying, hey, can I find an argument and a reason as to why we should be looking to the upside? Let's take a look at where we are looking. It's not a coin that's been around a lot here at least on Pith. Let's see if I can find a different chart, maybe with a little more history. It's just not a very old coin whatsoever. So I can't really derive that much from the daily. Let's look at the 4-hour chart here, and let's see what's kind of going on Kind of some mixed bags here more recently, but you do see some positivity coming in here with green reversal here below on the 4-hour chart. You don't have a bullish momentum on the oscillator, but you do have ranging upward money flow. So potential buy signal there on the 4-hour chart is developing. Guess where the signal where we would take this trade up to? It would be all the way back up here above $30. So is this going to break the bank for you? Is this going to make all the money in the world? Not necessarily, but it is something to keep an eye on. Waiting for that buy signal on the 4-hour chart. And we could see a nice little 30% move to the upside here on hype. As a whole, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't know if this is the one I'm going to ride with and say is going to be the best coin over the next 30 days whatsoever, because, again, there is some negativity and there's absolutely room to the downside. And as we've been talking about head and shoulders patterns here more recently, this isn't the most beautiful one I've ever seen. But technically speaking, we do have a left shoulder, a head, and whether you want to call this the shoulder, whether you want to call this the shoulder, a second lower shoulder. This is another pattern to be aware of. Again, patterns aren't necessarily guarantees in the world of crypto, but they're absolutely things to keep an eye on, that there's a bearish formation on this chart. So coin number one, hype. I'm going to pass, T-Shroom. I don't know about you, but I'm going to pass. Not seeing what I need to see to feel bullish about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on it. I mean, look, like my whole thing is like value investing, so I might take a look at this one if it gets like 40% sold from those highs. But there's just so much other projects like Chainlink, and AVAX that I'm excited about, Ondo, that I'd rather DCA into what I've studied the most, Caspa, Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Like these are projects that are high quality. If you've been spending a lot of time in crypto, if this isn't your first cycle, this list might be attractive to spend some more time looking at them. And I've heard Crux talking about virtuals weeks ago. Going back to my list, Athena is one that I've actually been somewhat bullish on. I never picked any up, but this is one that I probably will pick up actually on a retrace. Let's take a look at the chart for Athena ENA and see if it's looking good anytime soon.
Yeah,
Jupiter.
USD,
I've held Jupiter before.
You can go ahead and go to my screen here, Smay. So right off the bat, I'm not going to call this necessarily a head and shoulders pattern, but there is some choppiness that we're setting some lower highs right in here, but we're technically getting a little bit of a boost here in support on the 4-hour chart. I want to start off on the daily chart, though. What is happening here? This is a little bit more positive. The MACD is not bullish yet, but the histograms are absolutely moving back towards the upside. Could we get a bullish cross there soon? If I look over here at the Lux Algo Oscillator, now today we're kind of canceling out a green flash from the oscillator, but we have green momentum. We've recently balanced out here on the oscillator. The money flow is slowing down to the downside. This is not a daily buy signal, but it absolutely is getting close. We could see this one very soon. For more on that, let's go to the 4-hour chart, where there's a little bit better news right here, where we had a buy signal back on the previous dip, green reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow. Did we hit the price target, though, is the question. We did. All right, so that bull signal, that buy signal is canceled out. We still have positive money flow, right? And we still, have ranging oscillators. But I think this is going to be another, if I'm going to be very honest with you, Shroom, it's another swing and a miss here. I would love to be bullish. I'm looking for reasons to be bullish, but again, I don't trade the emotions. I trade the charts. And I want to make sure I'm clear here before we move on. The news is bullish, right? The listing is bullish. Grayscale putting an article out and telling people could be a top mover in January. That goes in the bullish camp, but you don't invest based off of one indicator, one piece of news. You want to take a look at the full package. And I'm looking at the charts. I'm not seeing any reason on any larger time frame, starting with the 4-hour. That's not even large. That's small, but I'm not seeing bullishness on the 4-hour chart. I'm not seeing it on the daily chart. And I'm going to imagine if I moved all the way up to the weekly chart, I'm not seeing bullishness on the weekly chart. So there's no arguments from the chart's perspective whatsoever that Athena is going to be a top mover in January. But let me know in the comments if you disagree. That's what I'm seeing right there. I know it's 354. Let's try to look at the rest of these, but we'll kind of go speed round. What's the next one on there?
Virtuals. The ticker is VIRTUAL. Virtual. And this one has to do with AI. It sounded pretty cool when I heard the fundamental explanation of it. It's like getting into virtual AI agents and things like that.
Yeah.
But just because it sounds cool and just because it's trending doesn't mean it's a good investment.
Yeah, so this is one, if you go to my screen here, Smay, unlike the rest of the crypto space, has continued to rally over the last couple of weeks. This is the daily chart right here, and you can see we just hit even a brand new all-time high today. Now, it's not saying a lot. This coin's not very old, but that's something that I'm going to be kind of watching. You can see here a recent spike in volume, which didn't mark the top, but now the volume's kind of keeled off. So is that going to be a sign of a continuation coming or a top? Let's kind of dig in here a little deeper and look at some other indicators. The money flow has been flowing negatively here for quite a while, and looks like that momentum's continuing. We have red reversal. With these lower oscillators, this is just in very dangerous territory to mark another bearish divergence. And this bearish divergence didn't end up bringing a massive pullback. But a lot of times when you start to pick up 2, 3, 4 in a row, it's almost like a dam that's going to be broke. Maybe the first slab of water coming in the dam doesn't break the dam, but if it just gets hit over and over and over again, there's no relief. We've topped out in volume. The money flow seems to be flowing more out than in. It's hard to say, but I think there's a potential argument for a local top kind of coming in here. We're overextended. We're oversold. I mean, this isn't what I'm looking to buy more of. I'm not seeing sell signals on the weekly chart necessarily, but I'm seeing a very overextended coin. And if I'm going to be honest with you, let's take a look here at reasonable expectations of pullbacks for Athena, and then we'll move on here. Virtual. I think at least a 35, or sorry, there's virtuals. Excuse me. I on the wrong one. 35%, 40%. You can see here several times this bull market. That's a casual pullback. If we got a nice 35, 40% pullback, which would be something in the world of $2.66, maybe a pullback down towards $2.50, I would feel way more comfortable and confident about purchasing that. But at the moment, this coin's just a little too overextended for me. So this is another one. Unfortunately, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on buying this one for January. I think this coin has a better argument to cool off than it does to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take it either as a value investor, right? I'm not going to buy high, right? I'm going to sell high. When I sell, I'm going to try to buy low. Look, this one has had a lot of hype to it. And look, there's different, this channel, what we thrive at is buying during the bear market and then buying value. Like right now, Caspa and Solana are really good buys for the cycle, right? They have come back down from big swing highs. They've come back down and now they're giving you a discount, right? They're not on this list. That's okay. Chainlink has had a big swing up and now is having a movement down. We did a lot more TA on that one. A much better buy. These are good. These coins, the best takeaway, especially as a newer investor and trader, is that these coins could be ones to watch on the way down and try to buy some as they become on discount. But right now, they're just a hot coin. Don't try to chase a coin higher, especially when you don't know about or has some flashy AI appeal. Yeah. Again, if you're more of a gem hunter and you can understand the fundamentals and the AI appeal, especially if you program large language models, don't listen to me. If you know it's great, like invest in it, right? But just as a value investor, and I try to diversify across all kinds of different narratives. When something is shooting up, it gets my attention. I write it down on a watch list and I wait for it to retrace 40%. And then I buy it, right? If I am convinced to buy it. But right now, there's too many discounted altcoins for me to be learning and investing in new shiny objects.
Really quickly, we just got a super chat. I don't know if this is true or not. I did a quick Google search, did not see any confirmation, but if it just happened, there might not be anything out there just yet. Densit Web Design, thank you for the super chat. Said, important, warn people, Tangem is hacked. Reddit. I don't have Tangem. I think that is that one that you have? Is it Tangem, the wallet that? No.
Yes.
That's a different one. It is the one that holds Caspa.
Yeah. I'll find out. I'll find out today if it's been hacked. Let's see.
And if he's saying to look at Reddit, there's a chance it's on Reddit and just popped, but it's not something I know and can confirm. But you know what we're gonna do here? Let's take a look at. I'm not gonna look at the charts for the other ones. Let's just go through them. There was two on there I didn't know. The Jido and what was the other one? What was the list? Show me.
Yeah, let's see. Jido, Jupe, JTO.
Right.
Sorry.
Jupiter, I like Jupiter. I don't hold any right now. It is one that I made a sacrifice. I did a cleansing a couple of months ago. I was in profit, but I did a cleansing, and I limited how many coins I was holding, and Jupiter didn't make the cut. But I still like Jupiter. So that is one. I'm not going to do the charts there, but I do like that project. Never heard of Jito or Grass. And here's what I'm kind of close out this segment, kind of letting people know and how to think about it. If you want to do a lot of research, if you want to dig into this stuff and get your hands in it and find out just how the community operates and who the founders are and everything else, and you feel comfortable, go right ahead and invest in these small caps. But there's a lot of you out there who don't have the time, the energy, and the ability to do your proper due diligence on coins like this. If you want to learn how to do it, again, highly recommend our community, joining our membership options and spending time with Crux, who's going to be leading our new Alpha Bros fundamental channel here in just a couple of weeks. But I caution that most of you should look at this and say, you know what? I'm going to stay away. Could those potentially be 50, 70, 80 X's? Absolutely, they could. In fact, to be a 50X from here on out, you got to be a super small cap coin that just pops off and becomes significant. But the probability just isn't there. Most of you need to be paying attention to Bitcoin, paying attention to Ethereum and Solana and XRP and Chainlink and Cardano, ones that maybe, they don't have a whole lot of X's left in them, but you can invest and double, triple, quadruple your money easily. As you really want to learn how to trade, which I think is a better investment of your educational time, learn how to trade so you can throw leverage on those safely and make a lot of money in that way as well. Once again, today's episode is brought to you guys by Blofin. If you're looking and saying, Tim, I want to learn how to trade, I want to be able to trade those top coins and do the technical analysis, highly recommend going and signing up with our link down below using Blofin. Once again, we're doing a giveaway tomorrow for all of our active Blofin users. You don't want to miss out. Go check them out. T-Shroom, it is past 4 o'clock, but we still have not done our factoid of the day. But really quickly, any confirmation you found from Reddit on Tangem? Because that is kind of a big deal. We had a lot of people who own Caspa who might have purchased a Tangem wallet.
No, I don't see any legitimate account that I follow that has done anything, that has posted anything that's compelling me to believe it. But there's
breaking. So there's a couple of people in chat saying it was patched already this morning. There's actually something that happened this morning. It's already been patched. Sounds like it's no longer a
in fact
deal,
here. So. Yeah, there's one account that I know, like, and trust. Let me see, make sure it's the real one. Yeah, Digital Asset News. They're pretty solid over there. Said, I heard about this yesterday regarding Tangem, and here's what happened and how they fixed it. No private keys were compromised. No user funds were lost. No accounts were accessed, but we must review. Let's get into it. So, yeah.
And I'll say this before we move on, and we're going to do our factoid of the day. The reason this is important, and we talk a lot about how to make money, but it's very important you secure your money as well. We love cold wallets. We have never promoted Tangem. One of the benefits of it is a place to hold Caspa, one of our favorites. But do your due diligence when you're looking at the security of these private cold wallets, because if the cold wallet's doing it correctly, it shouldn't have the ability to be hacked in the first place. Ledger had a big bad story that came out last year about ways that they actually can backdoor get into your wallet. That's a problem. That actually should no longer be considered a cold wallet. If other people can access your wallet, it's not secure. There are options out there that are more secure, and I'm not going to sit here and poop on Tangem. Tangem might be perfectly good and it's going to go forward and be awesome. But make sure even on your cold wallet side, you want to do your due diligence. Are you actually getting a cold wallet? Are you actually the only person who has access to that crypto? Or are there some features about it that potentially make it vulnerable? Make sure to do your due diligence there. Let's go ahead and get our factoid of the day with Smay, and we'll call it a day for the last show here in 2024. But I'm looking forward to a very exciting 2025. Smay, what do you got for us today? Sorry, I had a little burp there.
No. You don't like that. No burping. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and head over to our factoid chamber prepared by our wonderful elf. See, now I've started to give more credit to the elf because I think that we had a little conversation behind the scenes with the elf, and he seemed a little offended, and he threatened to quit, and I told him he couldn't do that, but then, Anyways, here we are at the factoid chamber with the elf here joining us. He edited our image, if you could tell. See, he's just back on track. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and read the factoid of the day to you guys. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. When Ethereum's... and by the way, I already know the answer to this one before. The AI told me that. Or the elf, told me this. So
a helpful
just to show my big brain. When Ethereum's EIP 1559 proposal was implemented, it introduced a base fee How does this base fee function within the Ethereum network? A. The base fee is determined entirely by the miners and kept as profit. B. The base fee remains constant regardless of network congestion. C. The base fee is burned, removed from circulation, while the users can add a priority tip for validators. D. The base fee is sent to staking contract to reward long-term validators.
It's been a minute since 1559 happened. I don't know if I know right off the bat what this is, but Matt, you said you knew when the elf sent this to you, you already knew the answer?
I did, because my brain does remember the era in which EIP 1559. Remember, I'm like Captain America. I'm stuck in tiles, frozen in ice. So I'm literally from the last bull market. You know what I mean? Just pull me straight out of there. So,
T-Shroom, I don't know what you're thinking. I'm leaning towards C, because I think 1559 was proposed around the same time frame as when they started doing the burning. I'm not confident in that answer, so I would absolutely say we should diversify our picks on this one. But I'm leaning C. What are you looking at? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm leaning C as well, because I do remember there being a tip for validators type of thing that was being considered, and the joke was like nobody was going to use it, nobody's going to tip validators, but the base fee is burned, removing from circulation. I mean, at some point, Ethereum did become deflationary, and I believe that's how it became deflationary, or one of the components that led to it. So I'm gonna get, well, if you go C, I could potentially sacrifice my answer.
I think D would be my second. If I had to go a second answer, D would be my second answer.
Same. Yeah, I'm gonna go D then.
Okay, C and D is our choice.
Okay. First of all,
outsmart the elf.
First of all, I will say this. You guys splitting the vote here has made this a very... I'm going to add like 15 more options so that it's more likely.
You just have to make the answers competitive so that it's at best...
No, they are. But you guys automatically get it right 50% of the time.
Based off the frustration, I'm going to predict that we got it right. One of these answers.
No. I was just saying in general, because you guys, in fact, if I drum roll.
There we go. All right,
you got it right. It was C.
Our instinct was good.
But you're going to be 50% every time if you pick two. But that's fine.
Well, here's what we'll do. Yeah. Tomorrow we will hold a vote during the show. So, you have to remind us. It's the intro.
Okay.
Should we be allowed to split the vote, or do we have to agree?
Or is it?
I'll let the community decide.
Or who being correct counts for the competition. It can only be one of you. That's another thing. If I'm competing against Tim, or if I'm competing against both of you. See, that's the thought. But anyways, guys, let us know in the comments. This is stuff to figure out next year. Okay. We got to figure that out next year.
This is a 2025 problem.
But the answer is C. The base fee is burned, removed from circulation, while users can add a priority tip for validators. So you guys and your Ethereum, this was great for you all back in the day. But with that being said, back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Smay. Guys, it's time to wrap up the show. Again, the last live show for YouTube in the year 2024. It's been a great year. Again, Bitcoin this time last year was at $42,000. Now we've already seen above 100,000. Who knows what it's going to look like at the end of 2025. But here's what I'll tell you. Same as I said yesterday, this is a time to reflect what went well in the year 2024, what went poorly. No one is perfect. No one makes every prediction perfectly. No one bought every single bottom and sold every single top. But the more you see, the more cycles and the more movements and the more patterns that you see develop, the better you can become at trading and investing in these markets. But what it requires is some good hindsight. It requires an honest look in the mirror. What did you do well? What did you do poorly? And how can I improve next year? It's not about hitting a home run. It's about getting 1% better each and every single day. Hopefully you guys are taking this time to do more of that. If you want a group, a community to do that with, make sure to join our Discord. It's free down below. And if you want to go even deeper with your education, join one of our membership options to start learning how to trade and invest properly today. But with that said, we will see you guys in 2025. Love you guys. Adios.